Hello and welcome to Sessions with Coach April, where real conversations meet real solutions. I'm your host, April Hogan, and of course, I'm joined by my bestie.
Hey y'all, Cass.
All right, so today we're asking the real question. Can you boss up with your bestie, or is it a setup? So before we go into this conversation, because I'm with my bestie, uh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's about Christmas time. So this is my first like non-white Christmas being in the South.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get into the spirit. Like I'm trying to fill it out. Like it don't feel the same without cold weather and snow, and I'm getting used to it. So I'm good. I know
Listen,
you're excited because it's Christmas.
we live in Ohio our whole life, so all
I
that snow.
know, but I'm conditioned that it needs to snow and it needs to be at least chilly. It was 85 degrees the other day.
We're gonna uncondition that. We can watch surfing Santas.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all right, so we're gonna
How
hop
you doing?
in.
You didn't answer my question. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm actually, I'm ready for the holidays.
I know you are. You excited.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I haven't fully put together what that day is gonna look like because Ariel's no longer living in the house. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm ready. Start some new traditions now that I have a child that's not there anymore, so she's got to
Yeah.
find a way to come join the fun. So yeah. All right. So hopping in, friendship meets leadership. So when friendship meets business, emotions meet responsibility. So why do you think it's so hard for friends to transition into business partners?
Um, because there's certain boundaries or lines that can be crossed when you're friends, and that sometimes is hard to set aside when there's business involved. Especially depending on the level of business. When you start talking money, um, and making, and you talking about particularly like hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different. And I mean, we've done business together before. We've done business together for years. There are people in my life that I absolutely would not do business with.
Mm-hmm.
People that I know personally that I'm like, no. And I mean, it's a sad reality. It's like if I can't trust you with small money, I definitely would trust you with big money. And
Mm-hmm.
not just that, people's work ethics are different. People's
Mm-hmm.
work habits are different. When you watch people just call off from their regular job, and I get it, that might not be their passion, right? People tend to think differently when they're passionate about it, something they want to do. Um, but I feel like even with just a 9 to 5 job, you have to, even if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you should have passion for wanting to take care of your responsibilities. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that you want to be not cut off all the time, not be someone to work late, not going in just professionally. So you just adjust to different environments, and if you can't trust people to do that with somebody else's money, you ain't gonna trust them to do it with yours.
Mhm. So I would say for me that a lot of times people look at friendship and don't really look at the foundation of what a friendship is, right? So the true foundation of friendship is not just on the good times, right? Like you got to be able to communicate. You got to realize that it's not always pretty in a friendship. But since people don't always encounter those parts because they're only friends when it's great, right? Then
Mhm.
it is difficult to hop in a business with a friend because now you don't just deal with friendship type things, you deal with business type things. So I feel like when you have a strong friendship that involves communication, that involves like, hey, like we're not always going to be on the same page, it's
Mhm.
easy to transition into business in those situations as opposed to when you have a friendship that's like a little surface level, or that people don't really understand like, hey, challenges come with it. Some people are so much alike that they don't really deal with a lot of like conflict. So I'll be honest, like outside of business conflicts that you and I may have had, I don't feel like we've ever, maybe then other than just once, which was not that long ago, I don't feel like we ever had no conflicts. Like
No.
I tell people all the time, like I just we do things different, but the way we do things complement each other. So there's not really a lot of like conflict that we've had.
Yeah.
But having conflict in business is also how I knew for a fact you were my best friend. Because regardless of whatever conflict we may have had, it never jeopardized our friendship. Like we could still be like, all right, this is how we feel for a minute. But then we always bounce back. And it's never like years down the line. It may be, I think maybe the longest may have been a week, and that was a long time ago, right? Like, so it never gets
Mhm.
to a point to where it's like, okay, well, we're just, because we understand even in our friendship, minus the business, even in our friendship, how important we are to each other.
Yeah,
So I feel like when you have that structure as a friend of what a friendship foundation is actually built on, it's easy. But unfortunately, nowadays, that's not something that is a thing. So,
yeah. So what's one boundary you think should always exist, even when the friendship feels unshakable?
um, open communication. I don't know if that's really a boundary, but I'm going to say why. And I guess it is because it's the being willing to hear each other out, right?
Mhm.
Because we all have our perspective, we all have our feelings, we all have our emotions, we all have our reasoning behind things. But even in a business, if it's your way or the highway, or you're not open to hear other people's perspectives, it can make it difficult to run a business together, and it can make it difficult to maintain a friendship, especially through business, right? So I definitely think if I were to say there was one boundary is, and I hate to say boundary because it doesn't even feel like a boundary, but
Mhm.
when I say open communication, that's not necessarily a boundary. I would say, like the unwillingness to listen to each other, like like I don't know if that's really a boundary. I just really feel like there's that piece that requires you to be okay with conflict, be okay with hearing that, hey, like we may not see things eye to eye, and I can't block you from
Yeah,
communicating how you feel, because then it's going to make it difficult to work together. It's going to be difficult to maintain a friendship through business. So may not have answered the question, but that's the answer that came to my mind.
yeah. So I would say mine is respect,
Hmm.
because if I respect you, there's always going to be a line that I'm not willing to cross.
Hmm.
Even when I'm mad, even when I'm pissed off, there's still going to be a limit to where I'm going to go. I'm never going to take it that far because I respect you. I
Yeah.
always push myself and go, okay, let me calm down, let me de-escalate, let me walk away and come back a little more level-headed because I never want to hurt you,
Mm.
right? And this could potentially lead to a whole different set of conversations. So I'm gonna try and keep this focused on this. Because even in relationships, whether it's a best friend, a relationship with a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, if I respect you and I love you like that as my friend, I am never going to cross certain lines and put you in a situation where I hurt you beyond the paper. So that's why
Mm.
when somebody goes like, I still love you, but I cheated on you, or I still love you, or I did this. No, you don't. Because if you love me and respect me, you would have never put me in certain situations or crossed certain lines with me to begin with. So that's in any relationship, but especially in business, again, where money is involved, and especially when you become like we're talking entrepreneurs, when we're done with the 9 to 5s and we're solely focused on this is how we take care of our families.
Hmm.
So if you respect me and you love me, you're not going to put me in positions where we're going to lose over this and all this is going to crumble.
Hmm.
We'll find a way to resolve it. We'll find a way to come back. So whatever we got to do, we'll find a way to work it out. But you're not going to cross that line of disrespect, or you just don't cross that boundary to put us in a position where we can't come back from
Hmm. So I was saying, I think they go hand in hand. And the reason I say that is because sometimes disrespect is unspoken, right? Like, because you could feel like, and I will name a situation and I don't mind. This person probably doesn't watch it anyway, but you know the name. I won't say the name specifically, but I did have another friend of mine that was pretty close to me a while back, that I had work for my company. And then when she worked for my company, I paid her for like a month and a half and she never did any work. I bought her a computer, she never did any work, right? But I'm paying you. So, like, in that retrospect, the thought is, okay, your goal might have not been to disrespect me, but if you work for anybody else,
it.
that is disrespectful, because how do you not care about my company? You should care about mine even more because I'm your best friend. Like we're supposed to be that close. So I feel like sometimes respect is unspoken. It's not necessarily like saying you B word or you know what I'm saying? Like it can
Yeah,
literally just be the lack of, right? Like, and then for me thinking like, but how do you care about me, but you're not going to put in the same type of work for me that you will put in for
yeah,
Billy Bob over here, who don't care if whatever happens to you,
mhm,
right? So I guess that's the reason I say communication, even though it's not necessarily a boundary, because sometimes respect is unspoken.
yeah,
So you don't really know that I feel that way unless I'm willing to say, hey, like, this is not working like this. We got to do it some other kind of way. So I definitely believe in the respect thing. But I also believe being able to communicate what that looks like, because to which I know in that situation, that person knew that that was not okay. But there may be situations where somebody thinks, no, but this is what I'm doing, right? Or even the person who thinks stuff's not being done may not fully know what's being done, right? So I definitely feel like the ability to have conversations, but then those conversations should be presented respectfully as well, right? So,
But I think, and I mean, this is probably going to become a longer conversation than most because we work with families, we're a family-owned business. We both try to give family members chances in our business to help them get to different levels. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that's where, like we said, we're all grown, we're all 40. So
39.
I can put it out there, but I need to get used to hearing it. But that's where intentionality comes from because when you know people, you have to be honest about who they are. Like I said, you might have somebody be like, I really want to give you a chance, but again, when you know them, you're like, I know you won't take this serious.
No, but I got to trump that. I'm sorry. I got to pause you real quick because the person I'm talking about is a hard worker. That person is a hard worker. Every situation that that person has worked in has elevated and elevated and elevated. Honestly, because of financial issues, the person needed a second job. So they were working at a warehouse and I wasn't okay with them working at a warehouse. So I was like, no, just come work for me. But then, so I couldn't even judge it based off of that. I
Yeah,
literally, like, it was more of like, oh, this is my friend. No, like, so it's not always how other people will work for other people is not always the same as
yeah.
how they work for you as your friend. Sorry, I cut
I
you off.
mean, no, I mean that's true. That's valid. And every situation is different. But there are some people who won't put in the work, and then there are some people where you have to learn the hard way that they will just get comfortable.
Mm,
They're given an opportunity to be comfortable.
yeah.
And that's situational. Again, you might not know it until you get in a situation where they're like, oh, this isn't the same as somebody else. Because it is different when you have a friend who you're like, I know you're going to have my back, so let me just chill out and relax and maybe touch my back for a few, versus when you got a boss who's looking over your shoulder. But the intention, again, like I said, the intention might not have been to be disrespectful or to be hurtful, but when you're not considering how this affects somebody else, what all they have going on, that's still an unintentional boundary that you're crossing.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
let's talk about conflict now, because communication and conflict go hand in hand. So how do you address tension early so it doesn't turn into resentment?
So, and this goes back to the ability to communicate. And sometimes it's hard because nobody wants to tell their friend that something's wrong or
Mhm.
something that they're doing is not right, or that they're questioning something that they're doing or any of that, right? Like just like we don't like to be told that ourselves. So you
Mhm.
definitely like it's easier for me to tell somebody who's not my friend, like, hey, if I can up, but not my friends, right? So I definitely feel like you do need to address it early though, so that way it doesn't get to a point that by time you address it, you're blowing up. And I will say that is something that I've struggled with in the past is allowing stuff and something to build and build and build and build. And by the time I say it, I'm stressed out. Like I'm the way I'm coming out, my voice is shaky, and I'm just you know what I'm saying. Like it's really important to identify something early. Plus, you may understand. It'll help you understand you may be misunderstanding something, right? Not only may you be misunderstanding something that if you would just tell them, you'll get clarity on. There may be something that they don't understand that now you guys can fix. So if you sit and hold stuff and hold stuff and hold stuff, it's bound to go in the wrong direction. So I definitely feel like it's really important to ask questions and communicate something ahead of time. And sometimes it's not about communicating in a way that says, "Hey, you did this wrong." Sometimes it's about asking questions because they may have done it right. They may just not have done it your way.
Yeah.
And my mom told me a long time ago, April, just because somebody doesn't do it your way doesn't mean it's wrong. So, and if you want people to do it your way all the time, then you got to do it yourself. And then what's the whole point of systems and structure and delegation? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely feel like it's important to communicate early. And the communication isn't always, hey, you did this wrong. The communication sometimes is asking questions like, hey, how is this going? Or can you show me so that way you fully understand. And then that'd be a good opportunity for them to even ask questions if they need to. So,
Yeah. So I will say that I don't think I've ever had to work on emotional maturity as much in my life as I have in like the past year.
mhm.
I don't always like it, but it's valid and I understand why it's needed because sometimes you have to pause, right? Like I understand the need to address these things early and to address things, especially in business, you gotta address it early because not only can it cause tension, but it can potentially cost you business. So I understand that 100%. There's no debate there. But also with addressing situations, you have to pause and be like, okay, am I addressing just a situation? Because when you know people, sometimes you loop in other things that are going on. And then it becomes, well, I know this about them, so this is affecting why I feel this way. Or I know this happened outside of work, so this is why I feel this way. And this is an accumulation of things, right? Sometimes you don't separate business from personal stuff. So sometimes you got to think, and it might take writing it down, it might take having a conversation with yourself in the car, because I do that often. I just have an out loud conversation with myself and just, these are the facts. These are what it is from a business standpoint. This is what needs to be addressed. So you keep it calm, you keep it rational, and you're not just looping in a culmination of 15 years worth of history of things that you know happened, and now it's all accumulated to now you're fucked up and I'm mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think sometimes it's necessary to pause, especially when you're doing business. Like I said, you gotta have the emotional intelligence to go, let me stop and consider this and only focus on what the facts are, what the situation is right now, what I need the outcome to be, and how we can get there productively.
Well, and then on top of that too, especially when you're working with friends or family, because my kids work with me too, you tend to learn personalities because you already know the personalities of those people, and you can't associate them with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, because I'll have things that I know about my oldest daughter and be like, I know this is why that's not done, but it's not always that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't. I've got to be able. You got to be able to separate, have those conversations, but separate what's going on, and then look at the bigger picture sometimes, because also understanding that people don't always work the way you work, right?
Mhm.
Like, for me, I am up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like having the time to de-stress, organize my day, all that kind of stuff. But it's my business. I don't expect Ariel to be doing that. I don't expect you to be doing that. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So there is the piece that also, more than just recognizing the other person, you have to recognize things that you may be looking at a certain way based on who you are as well. So what can leaders do to protect both the friendship and the business when tough decisions need to be made?
We will probably say it a lot more throughout this episode, but communication and emotional intelligence goes a long way in these situations.
Mhm.
Even if there needs to be a hard conversation, the first foundation of the conversation needs to be, this is not about friendship.
Mhm.
This is strictly business. It's not about friendship. That way, that takes away the possibility for anybody to take the personal and go, well, you did it because of this.
Mhm.
This is not that. This is strictly a business conversation. I need you to look at it as if you were talking to anybody else who was not your friend, who you were just doing business with.
Mhm.
Now you go into it with that mindset of, okay, we're having a professional conversation. There's nothing personal about this at all. Now,
Mhm.
granted, there might be times where certain things slip into it later, and you might be like, oh, you slipping personal, but again, it should always start with, this is business, not friendship. Let's not confuse the two. That way, even if the business conversation don't go the way you want it to, you can come back as friends later and discuss it, and maybe you have another one. Because you
Mhm.
look at it differently when you know you're having a business conversation versus when you come back later as a friend and say things you might not be able to say as a business partner.
Mhm. Well, unfortunately, you still run into it is about emotional intelligence, because there are times, and it happens a lot, where it doesn't matter how business the conversation was, how professional it was, how big the decision was based on the business itself. People are people, so
Yeah.
people, it's natural to be offended, right?
Mhm.
So it definitely there is a balance. So I always say, even at the beginning, it's really important to understand, and I probably had to learn this the hard way, because of course my mindset is, if I'm going to spend money with anybody, or if I'm going to pay people, especially as my business grows, because I know me, the more money I get, the more I'm giving my team. I want to give it to the people that I want to actually vacation with. I want to give it to the people that I want to go places with. I want to give it to the people who I mean, I do still want to have, especially as we got like 500 positions, of course. But initially, like, yeah, I definitely want the people that we're going to build together, because we're going to go do stuff together. Um,
Mhm.
Problem with that though is, if we're in a situation to where maybe it doesn't work out, you risk you take risk, right? So it sucks But then there's the piece of it too that's like, of course, ultimately, the thought would be if I'm going to do it, I would prefer to be, because honestly, you already know I didn't fire everybody with Avian. I didn't fire both my girls, both of them. I love them. But at the time, they weren't doing what's needed for my business. Now, since then, Ariel's been back, and although she does her procrastination, that girl works her butt off in my
Mhm.
company. I don't know what I would do without her. Like I do not know what I would do without her, right? But also realizing like, hey, if she was a different kind of person, me making that decision to fire her could have looked totally different, right? Because she got fired when she was older, it wasn't when she was younger. Same thing with Kizzy. It could have been different. Now, of course, Kizzy still needs me, but there is the piece that where it is difficult to say, hey, I'm gonna make the decision to work together.
Mhm.
But if it doesn't go right, how is that going to look?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
And
even know.
you have to look at it differently because as much as I want to say that, it's contingent upon you knowing the person, knowing their heart, you know what I'm saying? It's different for people at different levels, right? Because somebody in my age of 40 might look at it and go, I know your heart, I understand business, I understand how this works, and not take it personal. Somebody else might not. You know what I'm saying? So, and different situations call for different reactions, but it just depends. Some people don't, they can't count bounce back from it. And but then they also don't take into account that it's two-sided. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that somebody didn't pay me going, no, I don't want you working for me no more. It's usually caused by something. There's a cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
Even in just, typical jobs. I mean, outside of it being like racism or sexism, something like that, you simply don't get fired without a good reason. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why, as somebody who works in HR, who understands leadership and understands being an entrepreneur, a lot of times it's because you've had warnings, you've had conversations. There's a reason why this is happening. Can we both take accountability and say that it just hasn't been working out? And we need to move in a different direction. Everybody can't do that. But I think when it comes to friendship, if that's somebody that you really love and that you understand, because you don't get to be friends for 30 years without understanding certain things about each other, right? So at this level of our friendship, we can look at certain things and go, this is why this happened. We
Mm-hmm.
understand this, but we also understand this about each other. We know where our hearts are, and we know I will never be malicious towards you. Like you just understand certain things when you get friends for over 30 years. Newer friendships might not be able to make that work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
when you have been in the trenches with somebody for over half your life, you might not be able to make that work.
Right.
So definitely stay careful when you're considering doing business with a friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So running a business with a friend is like dancing. It only works if you both know the rhythm. So we're going to take a short break while we talk about how to grow together without growing apart. We'll see you after these messages.
The industry's biggest problem: payment limits, restrictions, and shutdowns from the most used payment systems. Another payout blocked, another transaction frozen, another account restricted, another delay costing you time and money. The game seems to be rigged against you. But what if there was another way? Introducing Pandora Pay, the secure, instant, and limitless payout solution built with you in mind. No daily limits, no frozen accounts, no waiting ever. Pandora Pay. Power up your profits.
Hey guys, welcome back. So you are tuned into Sessions with Coach April. I'm Cass, and we're going to get right back into it. So how do you keep friendship strong while chasing the dream? So we're going to talk about growing together.
All right. So I know that wasn't supposed to be a question. So I was looking at the thing.
What's the question? I feel like I tried to phrase it like one, and I tried to pivot away from it.
I know. So
I'm
let me go
hungry,
into
okay?
the actual question.
I'm hungry.
What does accountability look like in a friendship that's also a business partner?
Um, to me, it looks like being honest about who you are and where you are. And whether that's you have things going on in your personal life, whether it's just like, listen, my mind is just not in it right now. I've lost myself because we do, whether you're doing business by yourself, with somebody else, for somebody else, no matter what it is, we all have things going on internally that we don't always share with others. Even us, there's been times I've had things going on where I've had to come to you later and be like, "Man, I was going through this, I ain't want to say nothing." And we've been friends over 30 years. That doesn't mean we still don't get embarrassed. It don't mean we still don't want to handle things on our own and we just don't want to talk about it at that moment. But it means being accountable and honest about where you are. Because I mean, unfortunately, the business will affect the friendship if you're not. It's not like you can just go to somebody else and be like, okay, well, I went to HR and told them, so I ain't gonna tell you. You know what I'm saying? When you work with somebody that you don't know, they don't know the signs to look for. But because you know you can tell when I'm off my game.
Mm-hmm.
If I know you, I can tell when something is going on with you. So you just have to be accountable to yourself first and foremost. That's where it starts. Because you
No,
have to communicate your needs to everybody else.
yeah, I completely agree. Definitely, you have to start with accountability to yourself. And then we say it again, communication. I definitely feel like communication, like that piece where you said, like, communicating to the other person to understand, hey, this is what I'm going through. But then also positively, because we're friends, we can kind of see for the most part what that looks like when things are a little bit off or when things are a little bit different. But also, I feel like outside of accountability to yourself, there's a piece of like just understanding that everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
So, my version of human sometimes is over the top. So like I can't always, and I can speak for myself. One of the things I hate when people say superwoman, you're superwoman. No, I'm not superwoman. I don't even have superwoman powers. I don't think it's fair to call me superwoman when superwoman has special abilities that I don't have. Because if you expect me to be that, then you expect me to uphold the superwoman.
Yeah.
So, same thing though, like whoever you are and whatever your strengths are may not be the next person's strengths. Just like there's strengths at that other person that may not be your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you have to always look at the person as who they are instead of who you are or who you expect them to be, right? Now, we do have our conversations that we have sometimes where I tell Cass who I see her as, she tells me as she sees me, and then we have to remind each other, like, I'm glad you see me that way, but I struggle too. You know what I'm saying? Which is a part of being best friends, right? Like, we always see each other in the best light possible, right? Which is a great thing. We don't want to diminish that, but we also have to realize that we're still humans. So, still being humans, just because I see her as this big bad powerhouse doesn't mean she always feels like this big bad powerhouse. And when she doesn't feel like that, it's okay to not feel like that, right? So that's my thought around the accountability piece. Is that, yeah, be accountable to yourself. You do have accountability to your friend, but as the friend, we still have to remember that we're all human. So yeah.
Mhm. And one of the things I've been trying to do lately, even with my kids, because like I said, you hate being called superwoman, and I think that's something that as women has been again pushed on us to be like, you're a superwoman, you're strong, you can do it all, and that's fine, well and good. But like you said, number one, we don't always want to, but also when we go to our friends or we go to our mothers or our sisters or people that we feel are a safe space, I'm not coming to you for you to remind me that I'm strong. I
Hmm.
know that. I'm coming to you because I want to have a moment of weakness. Let me be weak. Let me be vulnerable. Don't tell me that I'm strong. Because then I feel like I have to just put it back on and just keep going. Let me
Right.
take it off for a second. So
Right.
just even in my conversations, whether it's with you, whether it's with Pinky, even with Sadie, she's 9. Anybody in my life, when they come to me now, I'm trying to make a conscious decision to not be like, but you're strong, we'll get through this, you got it. Be as weak as you need to.
Hmm.
Unleash, like unload on me if you have to. I'll be strong as distance for you. You don't have to be strong.
Right. Right. And you're pretty good at it. I had my little breakdown with you the other day.
So how do you celebrate success without letting competition creep in? And this is a big one.
So I don't think if you are friends and you love somebody, it's hard to, how do you compete with them? I want you to succeed. I want you to be great. It's like I always say with my kids, you're going to be better than me. Like that whole thought of like, oh, well, I'm going to be, no, you're going to be better than me. So I don't see a competition. I think I feel the same way. I don't want to say I think, actually, no, I feel the same way with friendship. I can't compete with you. I want to celebrate everything that you do, right? Hell, if you billionaire status, it means that I don't have to work no more. Go ahead, sis. Do that. Because I know if you make it first, I'm chill mode. Right? I'm gonna still work for you. I'm gonna still do it. But I know the levels of chill mode I can take, right?
Right.
Same vice versa. If I blow up first, you're on chill mode, right? Like, so I don't see it as a competition in the sense of like, oh, she did. No, sometimes I feel like I'm over pushing. Like, Cass, you got this. Cass, don't do this. I don't see competition in that sense, especially not my best friend. I don't compete with strangers because I compete with myself. I'm damn sure it's not about to compete with my best friend. I want to see all great things from my best friend.
Yeah. And I was, even with people that you don't do business with, this is one of the ways that I have learned to deduce who really is a friend and who isn't. Because I did have a friend who I thought was my friend, my sister, my ex boom coon. And she admitted that she had been raised like very materialistic and very much like, well, I'm doing better than you, and this is how I know I'm doing better than you. And there were a lot of times where she was doing better than me in life. Like she was having new houses built, getting new cars, getting raises at work. And I was always interceding for her when she had things going on, praying with her, clapping for her, like coming to housewarmings. I just always there for her, cheering her on. But then the times where I had things going on, it was kind of like I'm gonna step back. And she did come to me one time. She said, "Yeah, if you notice, I didn't like those posts you were posting about that because I didn't understand how you could do it and I could." And that was my first real world experience, right? Because that wasn't something that I typically had experienced before. Like I already have a small circle, but usually the people around me are like, we're cheering each other on. I want you to win. You want me to win. And that was my first experience. Somebody that I had known for my kid's whole life, her kid's whole life, where she just flat out admitted, like, yeah, I was competing with you and I'm trying to go to counseling to get out of that mindset. But it took me back for a second because I'm like you, where it's like, I want you to win even if I get the game from you. Even if you don't be like, I done bossed up, but you can't be on chill mode. Okay, I still want you to win. I want everybody to win. Even if I don't have anything to gain from it. But if you're my friend and I love you like that, and God is blessing you, that means He in my vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, that means I'm somewhere in the circle to be next. He's moving in our neighborhood. My house is in the neighborhood. I'm gonna be next. Why would I be mad at that? So I
Mm-hmm.
would never look at somebody that I love, that I see as a sister, a friend, a family member, and be like, "You got it. I don't know. I'm mad." No,
Right.
we cheer for each other. We cheer for each other. We root for each other. So I just, to me, I don't even think this is like I get how people could do that, but to me that just means y'all ain't really friends because I'm never gonna compete with my friends.
Right. Right. I agree. Now, I am going to be in chill mode, and so are you. But anyway, no, I agree. I agree. So, as we close, I'm going to give you my takeaway. You can build the dream with your best friend. Just make sure friendship is built to scale.
Absolutely. And my takeaway is protect the bond like it's part of the business because it is.
It is absolutely. It's more important than the business. If it means don't work together, then it means don't work together. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
right? So next week or on the next, not next week. I always say this. It's the week after next. We will be buckling up for the scale up roller coaster. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
I know.